Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is Ben. We're the fam. We're heading to family's house for Christmas Eve. Hope you guys are having a happy holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Merry Christmas Eve. Happy all of it. But today, guys, we're going to be talking about Santa delivering some coal to some of y'all's stockings in the form of exchange tokens. Are they securities? We're going to be talking about that. We got the boys in the back. Me and Madden, he's got a channel. Tell me what the name of your channel is.
All Madden Sports.
All Madden Sports. You guys go make sure to check that out. We are going to try to take the Texans and win the Super Bowl. So go make sure to check it out. We're 1-1 right now. So anyways, the point here is this, is that what occurred in the federal lawsuit against Sam Bankman-Fried is you have your Southern District of New York charges, you have CFTC charges, and you also have SEC charges. Now, the SEC seemed a little bit piling on here, considering that there's a lot of we'll just call it crossover when it comes to FTX and the SEC. Maybe they should have called it the FTC or the SEX. I don't know what to call it, okay? All I'm telling you is they're basically one organization. But the point is, in these SEC charges, it blatantly says that FTT is a security, and everybody is out there freaking out now because, oh my gosh, the SEC says FTT is a security. What does the SEC say is not a security? What is it? Bitcoin? That's it. The SEC is a power grab. Gary Gensler is attempting to consider as many things as possible to be securities, so that way he can enforce them and he can regulate them and he can be the king of crypto. Well, a lot more about that probably in the coming days, as we're seeing a lot of David Berkowitz from the SEC General Counsel. He stepped down because of a conversation he had with Sam Bankman-Fried, which 2 days after that conversation, by the way, LedgerX derivatives platform was bought after a meeting with Gary Gensler. So, guys, I think all this is going to come out eventually. I mean, we're talking about a year and a half ago almost that this really began between Gary Gensler and FTX. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is twofold. Number one, we're going to look at how it could be considered a security, and then number two, we're going to be talking about what this means for other exchange tokens. What does this mean for Huobi token? What does this mean for CRO? What does this mean for Leo? What does this mean for OKX? What does it mean? So let's tackle the first part. Okay, so now I'm not an attorney. I know that shocks people because I spend so much time yelling at Gary Gensler. You would think I was a securities lawyer. But the point here is that the SEC is trying a sneaky tactic. Now, the sneaky tactic is basically where what they are doing is they're trying to use lawsuits against individuals to group things as securities, right? So we saw this in the Coinbase insider trading scandal, which did happen. There was insider trading there at Coinbase. And what occurred is that they said AMP, LCX, which we may be doing a video on soon, and 7 other, I think there were 9 total coins that were traded inside the SEC's calling them securities. Well, this is a very important case to watch because what we need to see is we need to see precedent. Can the SEC go through a lawsuit against an individual where the coins are not even represented and use that as a backdoor way to call everything securities? And that is very dangerous, my friends, if that is what is happening. Because if so, just look for every single case that SEC files against an individual now to include certain coins that will be securities. But just because the SEC has now declared in a lawsuit that FTT is a security, that does not make it a security. A judge has to agree, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of precedent occurs here between those two cases specifically. Now, you may be wondering, hey, I'm in CRO, like what the heck? Like, is it is this now a security because if FTT is and it's a exchange token, then what about BNB? What about Binance Coin? What about CRO? Those are probably the 2 main coins that people in our audience are invested in, but you also have international ones, Leo, HT, OKX, plenty of other coins. I know I'm probably missing a few big ones. And then you could go from there and you say, well, what about exchange tokens? What about Uniswap? Now, I don't think decentralized tokens will be considered in that, but we don't know for sure. So here's the thing, guys. just because FTT is a security, or just because FTT is an exchange token, and if it is ruled to be considered a security, that does not mean that all other exchange tokens are securities. Why? Each of these tokens have their own individual tokenomics and their own individual utility. One of the crazy things about FTT is that it didn't actually do anything. You could stake it on the platform to earn returns and the price go up, but there was no real utility. And if you go back to when I was bullish on FTT, what I was arguing back then is that, oh my gosh, they'll have a similar route to turn FTT into something similar to BNB, because Binance Coin has utility. A little history on Binance Coin. It was launched, I believe, back in 2018, either late 2017 or early 2018. It was airdropped. $5 worth of BNB was airdropped to every user on the platform, and that grew to be considerably large over time because it was so cheap at the time. Every quarter they burn a percentage of the tokens. Maybe it's like 25% of the volume. I can't remember exactly what it is, but they burn a large amount of tokens at the end of every quarter, which should, in theory, make the price go up, right? Supply and demand. But here's where the utility comes in. Utility comes in where you can pay your trading fees on Binance Coin or on Binance with BNB. So therefore it has utility. It serves a purpose. And that's not all. It's got much more utility than that that's been developed over the years. You also have where BNB pays your gas fees on the BSC chain, or the BNB chain as it is known now. So it does a lot of different things. There are some other utilities of it as well. If you have over a certain amount, you get even more discounts and things like that. So it does things. If you look at CRO with the Crypto.com card, you had to own so much in order to be able to stake. We go straight here, hon? Big test. We're looking for directions. You had to have so much to be able to stake to earn the card, and then you got your rewards in the card as well. They also have an NFT platform, and I think with that NFT platform, I'm sure there's some utility there associated with CRO as well. Now, I can't speak about OKX or HT or Leo. I don't really use any of those. So I can't tell you what the deal is with those and whether they have utility or not. But the point is, each one of these coins is going to have to be judged on its own merits to consider whether it is a security or not. So now the SEC could try this backdoor route where they take all the exchange tokens and just call them securities. But I think this is a dangerous precedent. I don't think this is going to work for Gary Gensler, to be honest with you. Pay attention to that Coinbase insider trading trial. That is going to be very important. It's probably going to take years before we find the end of it, but that's going to be really, really pivotal. And I predict that our bill is going to end up getting passed in the meantime, and this is going to remove the SEC anyways. So if you want to see the SEC removed from crypto, make sure to comment down below and let me know what you think Gary Gensler deserves in his stocking for Christmas. That's all I got. Be blessed. Merry Christmas Eve. Remember the reason for the season. Be blessed. Good boy out.